What's poppin'? How y'all feeling? Welcome back to Pregaming Pigskin. I am the NFL genius, Gene Walzak. And with me, I have Kyle Edwards, the king, running the ones and twos, rocking. Dude, I love the mic, the mic setup. It's a nice setup with the headset. How you feeling today?
Appreciate that. I'm good, ready for another week of football. And I don't know, to you guys listening, getting over a cold, so I might sound a little whatever, but anytime I can talk some football, I'm ready to go.
Sound great to me. I don't want to hear. Don't give me
All
any
right.
of your excuses. You sound great. I'm kidding, but listen, feel better, and let's get started, man. We got the NFL trade deadline that just happened. We only an hour and 10 minutes to talk about this. Too much stuff to talk about. The
Yep.
NFL trade deadline just happened this past Tuesday. Wild trade deadline. Your thoughts on it? The first thing I kind of want to ask you is, what move on Tuesday? Like, let's go to Tuesday moves only. Let's not go all the way back to the CMC stuff. But what move most impressed you?
I'd probably say I was probably going to hurt to say as a Patriots fan, but I like the Chubb move to Miami. Um, I mean, their offense we know can be explosive, but I think with Chubb and his ability to rush the passer off the edge, when you're going up against teams like Josh Allen with Buffalo, or if Miami makes the playoffs, you have to go up against Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. You're going to need that guy on your defensive line who could put pressure on those guys to help, your secondary out and your linebacking group. So I think that was probably the best move of Tuesday, but there's some other ones I did like as well. Um,
Did you see the contract that Chubb just signed? Speaking of Chubb,
I saw that too, yeah.
it's a big contract, 5 years, over $100 million. My man got paid. Look at my man Danny Dempsey, Dolphins fan. But me and him see Tua the same way. That Tua is just a little overrated. He's looked way better this year, so I gotta give him credit, but he's just still underthrowing the football to Tyreek Hill. I feel like his receivers make him look a little better than what he is. But look, my favorite move is one of the best linebackers in the game, Roquan Smith, going over to Baltimore. I think that the Chicago Bears are an absolute mess. We talk about this all the time. I listed my top 5 worst owners in football. The Hallis McCaskey family is near the top of that list. They're terrible, and they're just doing nothing. And we talk about this week after week, but Justin Fields is just in a situation. This past week, we're talking about the Bears-Cowboys game. They lost 49-29. Like, how do you win that game? He's driving them downfield. It's 42-29. He's driving them downfield, and David Montgomery just drops the ball. Gets picked up by Micah Parsons for a touchdown. It's just embarrassing. What's up, Jeremy? How you feeling? How you like the Lions moving on from TJ Hawkinson? So we're talking about the trade deadline again. What are your thoughts on that move? In division rivalry move. Hawkinson to the Vikings.
Yeah, that was another move that I did like. With Irv Smith, I think just got hurt with the Vikings, so they needed a tight end. I am a little surprised that the Lions went ahead and, sent him within the division, but I've seen that happen before. I mean, Belichick sent Drew Bledsoe to the Bills, sent Lawyer Malloy to the Bills, within the division. It can work out for you, but I was a little surprised that that move did happen, but I think that's going to work out well for the Vikings. And, the Lions, they got, I guess, decent compensation for him, and Detroit is still rebuilding, so you might as well get all the picks you can.
Decent's an understatement. Let me just start there. I think that Minnesota overpaid for TJ Hawkinson. You got a second round pick. I think it was a second round and a third round pick for TJ Hawkinson, which I think is absurd considering all the talent that's coming out of the NFL draft in the second round for tight ends over the years. I mean, we don't have to go through that list. I'm sure you, of all people, a New England guy, can tell you a talented tight end that came out in the second round. Do you know any? Do you know any guys?
I know a few. Gronk. Yeah.
But no, seriously though, like I think they overpaid for him. TJ Hawkinson's a very good blocker. What's happening? Cool. About time you joined us. My Eagles
What's
fans
going
out,
on,
man.
guys?
What's up?
Cool is a guest from Eagles Elite. What's popping, man? How you feeling tonight? And one of
Feeling real good.
Empire's CEOs over here, one of the executives in office. We got the big dog with us tonight.
Hey, man, I'm just happy you guys had me on, man. I'm just happy to be here, you know?
Well, we started with the trade deadline from this past week, and what teams do you think made a big splash, a great move? What was your favorite move in the trade deadline? My man Kyle dropped the Bradley Chubb bomb over to Miami. I stayed with the defensive side of the ball and added Roquan Smith that went to Baltimore. We asked about Hawkinson. Kind of where are you sitting? What move stood out to you?
So I'm going to actually be the hometown guy. I think the Quinn move was great, especially with Jordan Davis getting injured, man. Being able to have the foresight to bring in another piece that's going to be at least as good temporarily as Jordan Davis would have been in his next few games as he kind of works his way into the rotation full time. So I think that actually ended up being a very good surplus pickup at the time. But then with what's happened, man, that's going to be big to have him in that rotation to fill some of those snaps. So I think, man, that line needed it. Another veteran presence never hurts. And I think that's the guy. I like the Hawkinson move as well, because that's one position where Minnesota has not had a lot of production in the last few years. So you got the receivers they have. You add that tight end to it as well, man. That's going to be a little dangerous. I'd hate to be some teams that have to play them that aren't the Eagles.
I seen a tweet earlier today, and it listed all the skill position players. It was like Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, TJ Hawkinson. Who is going to stop this offense? And I had a 2-word response. It was kind of like a hyphenated word because sometimes it goes together. And it's prime time. That's who's going to stop that offense. Prime time, because Kirk Cousins all the time is never available in prime time. So I'm glad they're happy with TJ Hawkinson. I think they got fleeced. A second and a third is just too much for, a middle of the road tight end. I guess he's a top 10 in the NFL.
Too, right? And the contract too. But hey, man, if you're, Detroit, you're happy that you're getting out of that contract. If you're Minnesota, you're thinking this guy is somebody who can help you get over the edge. Whether he really is or not, you make the trade, you believe he is. I mean, I'm kind of with Eugene. I'm like, I don't really believe that he is that much of a difference maker, but he is better than anything they've had.
That's a fact. Yeah. I'll add to that real quick about the Robert Quinn thing that you brought up. I think that Eagles fans will know this, but not a lot of people outside the Philadelphia area. Kyle, being that you're a New England guy, what do you think of when you think of Brandon Graham? And I'm going to just use this as an example.
I mean, I feel like he had a pretty good game in that Super Bowl, if I remember.
I wasn't throwing salt in the wound. I'm just, most people would say he's a defensive end edge rusher.
Yeah.
But what a lot of people don't know is when the Eagles run out their nickel, get after the quarterback, third and long, he lines up a lot in the inside, in the interior. He'll take the space of Jordan Davis. So what that does is that kind of leaves us a little weak on the outside. So adding Robert Quinn to that outside of that defensive front, it allows us to send in Hassan Reddick. Hassan Reddick, you got Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, Hargrave, Sweat.
Yeah.
You have a lot of people to send after the quarterback at that point from all aspects of the line by adding that. Jordan Davis loss is going to hurt us significantly in the run game. You're going to find that out tonight with Dameon Pierce, who is a very undervalued player for the Houston Texans. Before we get into tonight's game, though, with every winner, there's got to be a loser. What do you think the biggest loss of the trade deadline was? I have a tie. It's 2, but I'll go last on this one. I don't want to steal anyone's thunder.
I'd probably say Brandon Cooks might be a big loser because I know he wanted out and asking price wasn't that high for him, yet nobody went after him. And there's teams that could have used him. Green Bay could have used the wide receiver, didn't get him. The Rams, especially with Cooper Kupp being down, they could have grabbed him, and he's stuck in the situation where he clearly doesn't want to be in. So he's probably the biggest loser to me.
Cool.
I'm gonna go with the Chicago Bears are the biggest loser. You get rid of 2 top tier defensive players, and in return, you get Chase Claypool.
Yeah, facts.
I mean, Brandon Cooks is
Facts.
out there. He's available. You're not asking a lot. You want a little money you have to absorb, but the Bears have lots of cap space next year. You don't go out and make a move for a dynamic guy who has had trash at quarterback years and still put up quality numbers. And you're the Chicago Bears, and you claim you're trying to win anything, division, playoffs, be a better team than you were last year. That's bullcrap. You're the biggest loser in all of this.
I think the biggest loser in this trade deadline outside of Chicago, because Chicago is one of my 2, and I agree with you. I can't believe they didn't pay Roquan Smith. I really can't. Roquan Smith, to me, is a top 5 linebacker, middle linebacker in the NFL. He's a stud walking in the middle of his prime of his career. You have a defensive head coach in Matt Eberflus. But I don't want to get too far into that. Another loser to me was the Green Bay Packers fans. Can you imagine being a Green Bay Packer fan right now? You're going to have those. I've never seen a Hall of Fame top 10, on some people's list, top 5 quarterback ever fall so far out of favor with a fan base than Aaron Rodgers is doing in Green Bay. And when you think about that for a minute, you take a step back and go, okay, they didn't sign any wide receivers. They paid Rodgers $50 million a year. When you pay a quarterback $50 million a year, you're telling me you don't need elite wide receivers. You don't need, because you've invested all your cap in that quarterback. And then you want to complain about weapons. You want to complain about guys not catching the ball, and you call them to the front and not be a leader and put blame on them. I just think that's hilarious to me. That's exactly a Aaron Rodgers type thing to do. I bring up a point here real fast. Kyle, I'm going to go back to you. Maybe I brought up a sensitive subject earlier in a bad spot, but I didn't mean to. That was not my intent. Let me bring up a good spot. How many years? This is just question. How many years has Tom Brady been the number 1 paid quarterback in the NFL?
I don't think he ever was.
The answer is 0.
Yeah.
He's never been the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. He would take less money so they could put weapons around him. The beginning of his career, he was doing it with weapons like Troy Brown, Deion Branch, David Patton. You guys remember these guys? Troy Brown was playing both sides of the football for a Super Bowl run.
Facts.
Yeah.
Whereas Aaron Rodgers is having issues doing with Randall Cobb, Alan Lazard, Robert Tonyan, Romeo Doubs. He drafted a kid in the 2nd round, Christian Watson. He's got all the talent in the world. Why not spend a little extra time in the preseason, in minicamp, working with him? Nope. Aaron Rodgers, I'll show up when I want to show up. I'm going to just get on the field and play, and you better be ready to play. I think the biggest loser in this trade deadline is the fans of the Green Bay Packers. They signed Sammy Never on the Field Watkins. He's over there. They got 5 wide receivers, and I don't know if I'd want one of them.
Hey, honestly, Gene, that was my other one, but I was like, I think I'm going to steal it if I say it. So I just went with one, Gene.
It's also that guy?
That was tough. What's going on, Freddie? That was tough.
What's
great? Yeah. When it comes to Aaron Rodgers, I have no problem with him being frustrated because I feel like he brings a lot of this on himself, threatening to retire to be a Jeopardy host and then, showing up, making it look like you don't really care at times this season, and the constant rolling of the eyes and all that stuff, training camp, calling out the young players when, they just now showing up and you're already in the media talking about them. Like, how are they supposed to feel? And, the minute they drop a pass, it's like he doesn't want to go to them anymore. And to me, he's too much of a headache for a guy who has 1 NFC title win and 1 ring. I would need to see more out of him if he's going to act this way. But that's Green Bay's issue, and I mean they kind of made their bed with him, and this is what they got to deal with.
I just feel like he likes to talk about how much he owns teams in the NFC North. But I'll tell you who owns him, the San Francisco 49ers. They
Yeah,
own him, bro. That defense shuts him down constantly in the playoffs. I think he's 0-3 versus them in the NFC playoffs. But Steven Chambers,
right.
let me give you a little bit of I think he's a Bears fan. Sorry, a Lions fan. Let me give you a little bit of hope. I don't think that the Lions are in as bad of a position as some people think they're in. I think they had a good draft this year. I think Jamison Williams is going to be a stud. I think Aiden Hutchinson's proven to be a good player in the NFL. I think you have an elite running back in DeAndre Swift. You have a good complementary running back. Dan Campbell, as much as he's not a great X's and O's coach, he's building a good culture of a fight and win. And he might lose his job. There might be another coach that comes in there, and that hire is going to be important. I think the Detroit Lions are a couple defensive players away and a quarterback away from being elite in the NFC North. Elite. They're already moving the ball offensively. You got Amon-Ra St. Brown. You got Jamison Williams, DeAndre Swift. There's not a lot of teams that post weapons like that. And then you go to the defensive side of the ball. Jeffrey Okudah has been shutting people down. I get it. Week one, you look at what he lined up versus Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith had 1 reception, 4 yards. It was not, it was not pretty. He's a very good cornerback on the outside, lines up on one side of the field. So I don't think the Lions are really far away from being good. But speaking of bad teams that are on the up and up, we got a game to preview tonight. We got a Thursday night football game to preview tonight. And I want to give all the credit in the world to the Houston Texans because I believe they're on the up and up. I'm not a Davis Mills guy. I don't think he's a very good quarterback. I think he might have a good night tonight, but I don't think he's a great quarterback. But what I do like about that team is I like where they went in the draft. I like what they did this year. Dameon Pierce has been an absolute stud on the offensive side of the ball. I think that he's proven everyone he's going to be a good running back in the NFL for years to come. You can't discredit a lot of things they did on the defensive side of the ball. Derek Stingley Jr. is a top 3 cornerback in this draft. Now, you drafted him first, so you want him to be better than Sauce Gardner, and you want him to be better than other corners in this draft. But, man, I think that they have the foundation in Houston. But they're running into a train tonight, man. That Philadelphia Eagles team, undefeated, haven't trailed in the second half in a game, have led by more than 10 points in every football game they've been in. And they just seem to keep beating up on the teams that they're supposed to beat up. Talk about schedule all you want, but the Pittsburgh Steelers have been blown out by 2 teams this year. Nobody else. Every other game's been close or they won. And that's the Buffalo Bills and the Philadelphia Eagles. Cool. You're our guest tonight, Philadelphia Eagles fan. How do you see tonight going? What are the matchups we need to look for? What are some of the things that the key positional battles that the Eagles need to look out for, and the Texans obviously need to look out for with the undefeated Eagles coming to town?
So you kind of brought up my main one earlier, or my most important one, and that's us against the run game without Big Jordan Davis kind of in there to anchor us. Now, what's promising for me is I was at the game on Sunday, and I saw how they responded when he went down. He went down early, and we still, for the most part, we gave up a couple of runs, but for the most part, they were able to cobble together a good enough line to kind of stop them from really getting off on the run game. And that was against Najee Harris, and that's a big man. I saw the dude in person, man. That's a big guy. But I think just figuring out the right combination, the right rotation, they've had a couple of days to do so. They also had some time to plan, of course, during the bye week. But, of course, at that time, they expected Davis to be there. But you got to be flexible enough to be able to accept what happens is what happens. As football, guys get hurt. So I think that how we can affect the run game is going to be important. I would say corners, but I got to be honest. Our corners against their receivers, I think, is probably our biggest strength in this game, especially without Brandon Cooks. And I saw a video earlier that made me laugh, but could have some truth to it. The last time we saw Brandon Cooks, he ended up knocked out with a concussion and didn't make it through the Super Bowl. So if I was him, I probably wouldn't want to play tonight, just like I don't believe Dak Prescott wanted to come back and have his first game be against the Eagles line. So I think that that's a big matchup. If they can get the ball off running the game with Pierce a lot, they can get some catches out of the backfield, some plays with Rex Burkhead, name we don't bring up a lot, but a versatile guy out of the backfield. They could at least kind of shock us, maybe throw us out of our game plan a little bit. Now, another thing that we always need to watch on the surface level, anybody can talk about this, but Batman's against their DBs, right? Swole Batman, you can't stop him when he doesn't want to be stopped. Skinny Batman, we already know, up and down depending on how things are flowing. If they're attempting to try to take him away or trying to take away Swole Batman, I'm not even using their real names. We're going to use what we acknowledge them as. And Fast Batman, that's the guy to look out for. Their third corner against Fast Batman, I think this is going to be a game for him to eat. He hasn't really had a lot of opportunities. He's made the most of what he's had, but I think that this is a great strength for us, our wide receiver group against their defensive backs. I think as far as a matchup that could go in their favor, I really can't find one. Like I said, the running game is probably the best example that they have or the best hope that they have. But they could shock us with some big plays, a missed assignment here or there. Those type of things could obviously get them back into the game. But I really just feel like we're superior at this time. Davis Mills, to me, I don't think he's as bad as you do, but I don't think he's great. Right? So I don't think he's good enough for me to sit here and say, oh, wait a minute, Gene, you can't be talking like that about Davis Mills. I'm like, hey, man, he's okay at best. If you feel like he's trash, man, roll with it.
So I don't say he's trash, but I don't think anybody makes the NFL's trash. But let me just a quarterback that's ranked in the 21 to 32 range.
Yeah, I get it.
Like that range, I don't worry about those quarterbacks. I worry about the top 15, sometimes top 20. But when you're 21 to 32, and I have Davis Mills right around the 25 mark in the NFL, I don't worry about them beating us. I worry about scheme. I mean, of course, any NFL quarterback can make a pass if the scheme is there. Mm-hmm. But you missed one Batman, bro. You missed one. You can't miss Fat Batman.
But if Jason Kelce, I got to leave something, man. That's the soft pitch to you, man.
I like it. Can't miss Fat Batman. I loved it, man. When he pulled his jersey up, had his belly out with the Fat Batman. I love it. I love it.
When Jason he put that mask on at the game, we exploded. Everybody was like, Fat. It was crazy, man.
Nobody is an example of Philadelphia more than Jason Kelce. And the kid's from Cincinnati.
Agreed.
But nobody is an example of Philadelphia more than him. Kyle, from an outsider's perspective, how do you see – thank you, by the way. Thank you, Jeremy, for the comments. I promise I'll get to them. Appreciate you commenting and checking in on both Facebook and YouTube. That's what I was trying to say, Jeremy. But Kyle, from an outsider of the Philadelphia Eagles perspective, how do you see tonight's game going? What matchup should we look out for? Is there something that in your head that you think will be a mismatch for the Texans?
To me, the Eagles are clearly the better team. And I think you're starting to see with some media people, they're talking about whether the Eagles need to lose instead of going undefeated. And it does make me think with the Eagles being, a young group and new to this, their biggest enemy could be complacency one of these weeks where they're going up against a team like the Texans where they're clearly better in every aspect. But it is the NFL, so if you don't bring it, 100% every week, you are open to be beat. I don't think the Texans is a team to capitalize on that, but that's something that is lingering out there. I'm interested to see Miles Sanders and the running game against the Texans because they're coming off a week where they gave up a lot of yards to Derrick Henry. I mean, he is King Henry, but when you're playing Tennessee, they're going to run the ball, and they still couldn't stop them. So,
and their best rush defender Malik Collins isn't playing tonight,
right?
So,
Yeah, a
So
lot
it
of
could
guys
be
are
a
just not playing.
big game for Sanders, and even Hurts, scrambling and running the ball. So that could be a big deal tonight.
Well, how do you feel? How do you feel the game's going to go? Can you get a score prediction? Can I get a? Because I'm going to be a little nuts on you guys, but go ahead.
I'm thinking probably like a 34, like 16 Eagles win.
So you got to cover. How about you, Cool? What you thinking?
I'm going 38 to, let's see, 16.
Okay. I'm going to go 31-21. And let me break it down for you real quick. It could be 31-20, like right around that area. I don't want to say 3 touchdowns. I don't think they just score touchdowns like that versus the Philadelphia Eagles. They might 2 touchdowns, two field goals, but in that 10, 11 point range for the Eagles. But I'm telling you right now, do not look past this Texans team. They're a good coach team by a defensive head coach that has been in a lot of football games. Christian Kirksey's played well. Christian Harris has played well. They're actually good at the linebacker position. Steven Nelson's been a PFF top 20 cornerback this year. I know he wasn't for the Eagles last year, but he's been there. Derek Stingley Jr. has played his ass off over there. Lived up to the hype of the number 3 pick. We talk a lot about Sauce Gardner, but the one thing Sauce has over Derek Stingley Jr. is he's loud enough for us to hear him. Derek Stingley Jr. is shutting people down, and you're not hearing anything of it. You know what did they say about Darrell Revis? What did Revis had? He had an island, right?
Mm-hmm.
No one ever went to Revis Island. It was a deserted island. So you didn't hear Darrell Revis's name until that island started getting talked about. Derek Stingley Jr. is doing that in Houston. He's playing very good football. I don't want to overlook that. With that being said, I think that the Texans are going to have luck running the ball up the middle in the beginning of the game as the Eagles look for a way to now their whole offensive line's playing for Houston. So their whole offensive line will be there with Laramie Tunsil, Kenyon Green, first round draft pick. They're going to be able to run on that left side. They are. And I think they run the ball with Dameon Pierce early. It forces the Eagles to commit to stopping the run using linebackers like Kazir White, TJ Edwards up in the box early. And I think they end up scoring a few points in the air. I think Davis Mills will capitalize on the tight ends, a lot of play action. I think the Texans will run a lot of 2 tight end sets, play action, and you'll see a lot of Brevin Jordan and OJ Howard coming across the middle off of blocks. So I don't see the success on the outside. Cool, I agree with you. No Nico Collins, no Brandon Cooks. They're going to have issues throwing the ball to the outside. But where I do see them having success is the play action, throwing the ball over the middle. The Steelers only scored 13 points versus the Eagles last week, but they did kind of write a blueprint on how to move the football down the field, and it was to the tight ends, out of the backfield, off play action.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you brought up Najee Harris. Najee Harris is statistically the worst running back in the NFL this year. He might be a big boy, but something mentally ain't right this year. He's not seeing holes. He has a Liz Frank injury that he's been nursing all year that he probably should have surgery on and just allow the things to happen. Right. Dameon Pierce is young legs, man. Young legs out of the backfield, and he's not going to get stuck for losses very often. So I believe with short sticks, 3rd and 3s, 3rd and 4s, Houston keeps this game a lot closer than a lot of Philadelphia fans would like it to be. But Jalen Hurts coming home, hometown boy of Houston, playing in front of his family, playing in front of his friends. I think Jalen Hurts scores a touchdown tonight. I think the Eagles still move the football, but I don't think it's going to be as one-sided as people might think it is. So 31-21 Eagles is where I'm going in this one.
I'll tell you how I got to 38. So I'm thinking we get all touchdowns, and then we get one field goal, okay? I think where I got to 16 is I think they're going to have 4 solid drives, but they're only going to be able to score on one of them, a touchdown. The other 3, they'll be able to get field goals because they'll be deep enough to get field goals. They'll probably have a 5th where they'll get desperate and go for it on 4th when they shouldn't and turn the ball over to us on downs. I do think that Brevin Jordan is somebody we need to watch out for. I've known Brevin Jordan since he was in college. I'm a Miami Hurricanes fan for college football. This is a guy to watch out for. OJ Howard, he's a guy that can get it done. They may be so desperate tonight that they may have to come out in 2 tight end sets Because honestly, you look at, like you said, what they have left at wide receiver. You're talking about Philip Dorsett, and he's bounced around the league. Tyron Johnson, Jalen Camp, and Chris Moore, right? So you're not talking about guys that you look at and say they're going to get a lot done. I mean, they can make catches, obviously. No one's garbage when you make it to the NFL, as you said earlier. But it's going to be dangerous for Philadelphia, like you said. That's going to be the one matchup that they may have a possibility to do what I think they're going to be able to do, and that's get down the field, put up yards. And I do have Mills in fantasy, so I'm not upset if he gets yards. Don't want him to get a lot of touchdowns. I don't even want it to be close. But I think that's just going to be the difference, getting the touchdowns. And I think we're going to do what we've been doing all year. Once that second quarter comes, we're going to turn into the second quarter slayers that we are and probably put up 21 in the second quarter. I think outside of that, we're going to be pretty even as far as drives, as far as times of possession and things like that. I just think we're going to be able to do what we've been doing every game and have an explosion in that second quarter. And that's what's going to boost us up a good 21 points.
I like it. Cool. I cool. I would love to be wrong about my thoughts. My thoughts are, I try to keep them as unbiased as I possibly can. I'm a diehard Eagles fan, but
yeah.
You got to be unbiased, and I'm sure you are too, because your logic makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man, just something weird. Home dogs in prime time just play a little bit better. The lights are bright, and I feel like short week, not as much preparation. You'll see a lot of Eagles leaving that game with little nagging injuries. Hopefully, nothing too serious. I worry about that, but I think it'll be a close game.
And then also too, we always have to worry about Jonathan Gannon. That is the one X factor that we have to worry about.
Yep.
Because if he goes to that soft zone crap, then I could be wrong. But if he goes out there and says, look, man, we're going to go out here and we're going to try to dominate this game, and we're going to start to try to assert our will and really play aggressive defense, then I feel
cool. I can write the book. I can write the book for what Gannon needs to do tonight. If you have Darius Slay, James Bradbury, and Avonte Maddox lining up one-on-one without any help, and you send the house every play, you'll win this game by 40.
Yeah.
But I don't think they'll do that.
He definitely won't do that.
My point, and that's my point. Do you really think that Philip Dorsett is getting off versus Darius Slay?
No.
And that's just like my thought process.
No.
If you go man up on the outside and just blitz, and stuff that run and commit to stopping the run, then the Eagles should win this game easily. I just don't think he will. We got to move to the next couple games on the docket. We got a whole football Sunday to talk about. The first game I want to get into is the 3-4-1 Indianapolis Colts are traveling to Kyle's New England Patriots to play the 4-4 New England Patriots. This was one of my picks last night on Wire to Wire. I like the Colts plus 5.5 at New England. I don't know if they'll win the football game. Sam Ehlinger's supposed to start again. Mm-hmm. But I will say this. That New England offense with Mac Jones just doesn't look right. Last week they beat the Jets 22-10. Great game, right? Until you look at the fact that Zach Wilson turned the ball over 4 times. 22 points off 4 turnovers, yep. three interceptions and a fumble, right, Kyle?
I know he had the 3 interceptions. I'm trying to think about the fumble. I think there was a fumble, yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember a fumble, yeah.
So you scored 22 points off of 4 turnovers. That's not good. That's not good. That's 5 field goals, 1 touchdown, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think that the Indianapolis Colts will be able to keep that game close. I think that Frank Wright's got to limit the turnovers that happened in that game. I think that the Colts could win the game. I'm pretty sure I'll give the advantage to the hoodie and Belichick to win the game in the end. But there's something wrong with that offense. So, Kyle, from a New England perspective, what is wrong with that offense?
I think it's probably Mac Jones' confidence right now. There's a lot of times where you'll see him drop back, and it seems like he's kind of second guessing who to throw it to, and he stands in the pocket too long. I mean, we have seen him take off and scramble a little bit more, but I just think he needs to just, get into some quick passing, get the confidence up, and he'll be fine. But I do agree with you that the Colts probably keep it close only because, they're increasing Jonathan Taylor's workload, and we know that New England's rush defense can be a little shaky. I mean, if it comes down to Ellinger having to win the game for them, I fully expect the Colts to lose big, only because Belichick going up against young quarterbacks never works out well for them. But all things considered, I think it's a really close game. Probably something like 23-20, to be honest.
Cool. How you see the game going?
So I'll say this, man. I've never been a fan of Mac Jones. It's been chronicled. There's several places I can throw you receipts. I've never been a fan of Mac Jones. I wasn't a fan of Mac Jones since college. I think as long as you have him at quarterback, it's a problem. We have a comment that he was the most pro-rated quarterback, but his ceiling is so low he had a duck coming into the season. That's pretty much that encapsulates how I feel about Mac Jones. He was the most pro-ready, but he had the least amount of opportunity to grow and get better. So when that's the case, it's easy to figure out. I think he's been figured out now. He's in a quarterback battle even to keep his job now. He probably should lose the battle for New England to be better long term, to be 100% bluntly honest. But I think in this particular game, the Colts, like you said, they have Ellinger, but they're still going to be able to run the ball some. They still have some guys who can catch the ball. I feel like the Colts should be able to win this game in a tight one. I say something around 24-21, maybe a field goal deciding the game, or 24-20, but I think that the Colts should be able to win this game.
I fully understand that. I can see it going one way or the other. I just give the nod to New England being home and having Bill Belichick coming off that win at the Jets last week. I think that was a big win for them. I think that they'll end up squeaking one out, but very close. But that leads me to my question. The reason I started with that game is, if you guys had to redraft that draft, quarterback-wise, the top five, just the top five, will stay right there. Mac Jones, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, and Trevor Lawrence. How would you draft it quarterback-wise, 1 through 5? If you had to redraft that entire draft quarterback-wise, who goes 1, who goes 2, who goes 3, who goes 4, who goes 5? And I'll start because I just threw it on you guys, and I kind of wanted to get like a real reaction from you guys, so I didn't prep it. But I would still go Trevor Lawrence 1. Mm-hmm. I would go Justin Fields 2. I think Justin Fields is a future MVP in this league. I really believe that. I'm going to get my free Justin Fields shirts so I can get him out of damn Chicago. I think he's a stud. Yeah. The third quarterback I'll go with the unknown. I really like Trey Lance and what he can do in that San Francisco offense. And I think that it's unfortunate what happened with his knee injury this year. Yep. But I still take Trey Lance 3, Zach Wilson 4, and I'll go Mac Jones 5. I believe Bailey Zappi is the better talent.
Yep.
I believe that.
Yeah. I mean, I could probably get with the 5 you have, because Mac Jones would probably be last for most people, and yeah, I think I agree with you on that one, to be honest.
The whole order? Come on, Kyle, yell at me. I'm just kidding.
I mean, I'm kidding. The only question might be Trey Lance, where he sits in the 5, only because, like you said, he's the one that you know the absolute least about. But I think in terms of prospect of, the talent, you can see with Trey Lance that he has all the makings to be a really good quarterback. We just haven't seen enough of him. So only because of that, I might drop him to 4 or something. But then that means I have to put like Zach Wilson ahead of him. And Zach Wilson has too many issues in terms of, interceptions and all that I wouldn't want to do that. So like I said, I think I'd honestly might go with your list.
I'm not gonna lie to you. My biggest issue with my list, the toughest part of my list was 1 and 2. 3, 4, and 5. Listen, let's just say Trey Lance is the unknown, and the other 4 are the known. I'd take the unknown over Zach Wilson and Mac Jones.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
So cool. What you got?
Your 5 is probably the most logical 5. what I would say, my only argument would be we're basically telling somebody we want them to go to the Jets, right? And that's a problem, I think, for anybody you put there. So the only change that I would make is I still have Lawrence at 1. I'd leave Zach Wilson at 2 because I think once that team builds up around him and that team becomes better, that line becomes better, I think we're going to see him be better than he has been in the past because he actually has a coach who knows how to freaking coach and command a locker room. I would put Fields at 3 because, like you said, and also think about this: if you put Justin Fields in the current San Francisco offense with CMC there, oh my gosh! If you like Justin Fields at
do
all,
you not think Justin Fields would look better in that Jets offense with Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore? Obviously, Brees Hall got hurt, but Michael Carter, now James Robinson, Robert Saleh, who's a good coach. You don't think he would look better than what Zach Wilson looks?
he would probably look a little better, but he would look so much freaking better in San Francisco.
Oh, I agree. So, but don't take.
I gotta do it. I gotta do it. No, I can't. I can't take the team out. I can't, Gene. I can't. If we take the team out, then you're right. But just for the sake of some differences, Justin Fields at 3rd. If that's San Francisco right now, oh man, I'm not even a 49ers fan. And my mouth's watering a little bit just thinking about that. Obviously, they would put Trey Lance at 5 because nobody goes below Mac Jones. There is no one that you put below Mac Jones. Now, the other interesting thing would be maybe Trey Lance at 2 in that Jets offense. Maybe seeing how he would do there as well.
I think you just keep trying to do the team thing.
Absolutely.
Right, let me be real with you when I say this, right? I think Justin Fields could be better than Trevor Lawrence. I think Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence are the clear top 2 talents. And here's something I've stated numerous times, and I'm going to say it until someone hears me. Someone has to hear me when I say this. The Bears have the 32nd ranked wide receiver core in the NFL and the 30th ranked offensive line in the NFL with the defensive head coach. Mm-hmm. And they're calling him Bustin' Fields. Like, it's the quarterback's fault? You draft this kid 11. Gave him a defensive head coach. No, I'm going to lie to you. You gave Matt Nagy first.
Yep.
Yeah. Then you gave him a defensive head coach with the 30th ranked offensive line, the 32nd ranked wide receiving core. And it's Justin Fields' fault.
Fans and analysts are fickle. You have to you are completely correct, bro. You are 100,000,000,000% correct. No one could be successful in that specific situation that he's in at the current time. If you're not going to make this situation better, you should let that man get up out of that situation because that's not going to be conducive to him having a long career. So I cannot 100% disagree with that at all. And then the weapon you go and get him, as I talked about earlier, is Chase Claypool. And not to knock Chase Claypool, but Chase Claypool he's not always mentally in the game.
Right.
And I'm just gonna leave it at that.
As my brother Dante on this network would say, Coach Dante, Finding Nemo. But there's 2 more 1:00 games we gotta talk about. Yeah. The 6-1 Buffalo Bills, even though it's a huge spread, but the 6-1 Buffalo Bills are traveling to New York to take on the 5-3 New York Jets. Do you think the Jets can keep this game close? And I'll start. I do. I think this is going to be a game. Robert Saleh said, I'm taking receipts. They just had their worst game of the year since their worst game of the year when they played Baltimore week 1. Mm-hmm. At their worst game of the year. I think Sauce Gardner locks up Stephon Diggs, and they keep this game a lot closer than Josh Allen would like it to be. Bro, don't be here. Here's a little tidbit for you. Do not be shocked if the Jets shock the world Sunday. Do not be shocked if the Jets shock the world Sunday. I'll go Buffalo 28, the New York Jets 27.
Okay. I mean, my thing is the Jets defense is good enough to keep the game close. The biggest question mark, which is probably going to be every week with the Jets, is Zach Wilson, because he has the arm talent and all that. It's just decision making with him gets him in trouble way too much. And against a
Right.
team like Buffalo, he can't do what he did against New England with 3 interceptions. Otherwise, they'll get run off the field. So if Saleh can somehow get him to rein it in and just, hit open receivers, if it's not there, throw it away, throw it into the 5th row. Because that one interception he threw to Devin McCourty where he was trying to throw it out of bounds, but he threw like right at the sideline. And I was just like,
It was a perfect pass right to Devin McCourty.
yeah. And Zach Wilson put his
Devin McCourty was wide open.
He put the ball right on him too, right? He put it right
on the numbers.
But yeah, it's like stuff like that. You can't do that in the NFL. So if he can, take care of the ball, then yeah, with Quinnen Williams on defense and like you said, Sauce in the secondary and with Mosley in the linebacking group, they should be able to keep it close. But I think Buffalo wins this one. I do think they make it a little bit tougher on Josh Allen. He might get hit a couple times which he won't like, but they still pull it off. I'd say 31. I'll go 31-20, Buffalo.
Okay. Cool.
I want to say, Gene, in the most respectful and nicest way possible, I hate you right now because you stole my argument. I really do believe that this is kind of, I wouldn't say a trap game, but an overlooked game, right? Yeah. I think Buffalo's going to be thinking about other things, thinking about keeping that number 1 ranking. Still is going to do everything tonight. They're going to think about keeping that number 1 ranking and different things. And this is a slip-up game where they could slip up. And I think the Jets, they got embarrassed last week. They look bad, especially Zach Wilson. So his motivation, if he's a professional, if he's a competitive man, which he should be, is I got to come out and I have to change what I did last week. I got to make people stop talking about I'm over here, like they say in the comments, seeing ghosts like Sam Darnold. Or there's other quarterbacks like Sam Bradford in the past who looked like they were seeing ghosts at certain times. So you don't want to have yourself in that category. So you got to come out and show people that was an anomaly. That's not who I'm going to be. And this is a good week. This is a great opportunity to do that. Now, it's not going to be easy because Buffalo is not going to make it easy on you. But this is the week to do that. This is the week to bounce back. If you want people to stop talking about how poorly you played last week, you got to come out and drop a gem on Buffalo. Now, if they can win the game still, I don't know. But I agree with you. Actually, right about the same score. Keep it tight. Earn some respect. Hey, Buffalo may make a mistake, and you make a pull out a win.
I'm sorry. It's huge news that just came out about Kyrie Irving. So I apologize. I just got a message. The Nets suspended him, but that's not for here nor there. We'll get into that later. Different show. This is Pregaming Pigskin. When I get updates and news, text messages, I gotta. So Jeremy B just said, "What if the Washington Commanders beat the Vikings?" It's not what he said, but I'm gonna read it off the right way. That's our next game on the docket, and I'm gonna tell you something right now. The Washington Commanders have quietly won 3 straight games. They beat Chicago, they beat Indianapolis last week, and forgive me for the love of God, they beat someone in Washington 2 weeks ago. I'm just drawing a blank. Oh, Green Bay. They beat Green Bay 2 weeks ago.
Bay. Yes, sir.
They're 4-4 now.
Mm-hmm.
Taylor Heineke was quietly delivered 2 straight wins. They play Minnesota this week. This is the Kirk Cousins revenge game. This is his first game back to Washington. The spread is only 3.5. Your thoughts, Kyle?
So actually, when I did the Big 3 podcast, this was my upset pick. I think the Commanders get it done. There's just something about Taylor Heineke when he's in the game. He just raises the level of Washington, and I don't know, the energy just picks up. Terry McLaurin looks like the beast that he absolutely is when Heineke's in there. I've been the biggest with the Vikings this year because I'm one of those who thinks Kirk Cousins is a little better than people think he is. But I just think in this game, Washington finds a way to pull it off. And yeah, Kirk Cousins going back to Washington. They spoil his return, but there's something going on in Washington that seems like they could, I don't know, maybe turn some heads in the second half of the season. But I'd probably go with a score of like, let me see, maybe like 27-23 Washington.
Okay, cool. What you think?
He's reading my mind. I've said this all along, bro. Here's the truth. That's a good team that had a trash quarterback.
Yep.
And I don't say trash lightly. Carson Wentz is a very talented individual, but to me, he is soft here. So he's trash until he gets this right. Once you took him out of the equation, they didn't like him. You could tell they didn't like him. They didn't like him in training camp. They had to play with him, but they didn't like him. I went to the game when they played the Eagles. He would come over on the side, be mad, slam his helmet down after the drive. Everybody just walk away. Nobody came over to talk to him. Nobody was like, hey, man. They just like, whatever, man, go ahead. When Heineke plays, this team is energized. Curtis Samuel's going to look better. I wish Dotson was playing this week just so I could see what kind of rapport they could build with each other. Like you said, Scary Terry is going to be better. Cam Sims is going to get some burn. Dax Milleen. It's going to be crazy. Logan Thomas is going to have a better game with him. Bates is going to be better. Heineke is that guy. He's just, how every team just has that guy that, like, for us, it hurts. It's most of the time it's your quarterback, but not always. But he's just that guy that gets that team to step it up to another level. They look like a different team when he's playing and he's out there. The defense plays better. They may get Chase Young. We're still a little iffy on that, but he's at least been activated his window, so he could be coming back. That could be a big plus for them. That running game looks a lot better with Brian Robinson. Happy to hear his story. And honestly, I don't even think it's an upset. I think Washington's going to win this game, and I think Washington's a better team.
I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings by 40.
Okay.
Not by 40, but I think the Minnesota Vikings run it up on them this week. I don't think Taylor Heineke is that good of a quarterback. I tried to lay this one out because it's only a 3.5-point spread. I really think the Minnesota Vikings run it up on them. The Washington Commanders just gave away Willie Jackson to Pittsburgh for nothing. They don't have a cornerback that can stop Justin Jefferson. Kirk Cousins is very familiar with that field, that stadium. It's not a primetime game. Give me Minnesota 37, Washington 6.
Wow.
Hey, I mean, I respect it.
I think this is the blowout of the week. You can boo me all you want, man. I give real opinions. Everyone gives a 3-point game, 1-point game. I'll tell you when I think it's going to be a blowout. All right, we got a couple more games to get into before the Phillies start, and I want to get off here before the Phillies start because I'm a diehard Phillies fan and an Eagles fan. I got 2 TVs in my man cave. I got them both set up. All right, 2 more games. Well, 3. The Monday night game's kind of lame, but I know Jeremy. But the Seattle Seahawks, 5-3. They just keep winning football games, man. Give Pete Carroll his roses. Give Geno Smith his roses. That team, 1 for all for one, whatever you want to look at it as, they look like, and it's so funny. I root for them to be better than Denver so bad. What's the Geno Smith quote? They called for me my career, but I didn't answer.
They wrote me off, but I didn't write back.
They wrote me off, but I didn't write back. I love that.
I love that guy for that one.
They head to Arizona to take on Nuke, Kyler, Cliff,
Ertz.
What do you got, Ertz? Yeah, I'm talking about my man Ertz. I miss Ertz so bad.
Yeah, I do miss him.
Who do you like in this one?
Oh,
man. This one could definitely go either way. I actually think the Seahawks do win this one as well. Like you said, there's just something about, they're playing like the ultimate underdog each week because most people didn't see Seattle winning like more than 3 or 4 games this season. They've already passed that. So, yeah, I mean,
I said they would win 2 games this year.
Yeah, I mean, most people.
I'm wrong.
At this roster,
I apologize, Gino. I apologize, Pete.
And you can
And
put me in that category too.
yeah, I mean, I had them for like 3 or 4, if that. So,
Yeah, I think I had like 3.
but yeah, what they're building there and everything going on, Geno Smith, really reviving his career. I'm still not bought in with Arizona, and I know Hopkins is there. He does make Kyler Murray better, but I just can't put too much faith in Kingsbury and Kyler Murray because we know they'll go through stretches where they play pretty well, but then ugly football will come back, and I think Seattle takes full advantage of that. So I think Seattle wins this one. I'll go. I go like 28-20.
Division games, cool. You go third on this one. You go first on the next one. Division games, when they play twice, you can almost completely flip the script from what happens game 1 to game 2. I'm not talking about the winner. I'm talking about score. The first time they played was in Seattle. The Seahawks won 19-9. Flip the script. The Cardinals win this one 38-35 in the highest scoring game of the week where nobody stops anybody. DeAndre Hopkins goes off. Kyler Murray goes off. Geno Smith goes off. And this is a very high scoring, fun game to watch. 38-35. Give me the Cardinals. As much as I hate Cliff Kingsbury, Call of Duty did come out, but
Warzone's
the
not out.
Warzone didn't drop until the 17th. So Kyler's going to get this one in, and then he drops the game after Warzone.
So I think Kyler. So the first thing I have to say real quick is when I watch Kyler Murray on the field, he's like a toddler running around being chased by adults. It's hilarious to me, especially like when he's running around the back trying to make time to get a throw. I think Call of Duty came out. I know you said it's not Warzone. I get it, but it's still an FPS. So I think it's going to be good enough to suck him in, get some hours of his time he should be spending in that playbook. And apparently the Cardinals don't believe he spends enough time in the playbook either, but that's another story. I think that I've been against Seattle. I've been saying, Seattle's going to lose this week. Seattle's going to lose this week for so long. But you know what? I'm going with them this week. Something just tells me they're going to win this
Seattle
game.
versus the Giants, so that was my Seattle pick that won.
Yeah, I'm going with Seattle this week. I didn't pick up against the Giants. I haven't picked them like 2-3 weeks, and they keep winning. I'm going to listen to what's being told to me. Like deep down, it's like Seattle, bro. Go with Seattle. They're not a better team, I don't think. Like if you look at the pieces individually, but they're playing so much better together. They just playing for Geno. They're playing for the coach. They're playing for each other. They have nothing to lose. They're playing with house money. Everybody, even their own fan base, thought they were going to be garbage this year. So they just ride the wave until it's over. I don't think it's over this week. I'll say,
isn't it funny how we had it conveniently the Seahawks versus Cardinals, where there's a better game to talk about than the Rams at Buccaneers that's happening this Sunday, which everyone predicted to be like the NFC Championship game. I don't want to talk about that game too much. I'm going to give you a quick prediction. I think the Buccaneers steamroll the Rams. If Cooper Kupp's not 100%, they get beat by 100. I'm sorry. It's not. That team is very, very ripe for the picking. Although Tom Brady, man, you can see that, man. He's a broken man in his interviews. They asked him today in his press conference, "Are you okay?" And he didn't say yes. He just dodged the question and went around it. But I'll take the Buccaneers in a blowout over that one if Cooper Kupp's not 100%. But I don't want to get into that one too much. Y'all want to make a quick pick or no?
I agree with you.
Yeah,
they got to have Cooper Kupp to have a chance. It's just that simple.
All right. Well, the game of the week as far as record wise, Sunday Night Football. The 5-2 Tennessee Titans travel to Arrowhead to take on the 5-2 Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs coming off their bye. Andy Reid off the bye is unbelievable.
Yep.
I'm tired of betting against the Titans, bro. I lose all the time when I do it, but I'm still taking the Chiefs. I have to take the Chiefs. They're the better football team. Andy Reid off the bye. I got the Chiefs winning this one 31-13.
I I think I'm gonna buck the system and I'm gonna go Titans. I'm gonna go 200 for King Henry. Robert Woods
Ooh,
gonna make a few big catches. I think Malik Willis is still playing. I like um, the mobile quarterback
Bobby Trees.
that adds a different wrinkle to what they do offensively because now you can institute some of that RPO, different things that you can't do with a guy like Tannehill back there. I don't think Willis throws the ball 40, 50 times, but I think maybe he gets about 20, 25 throws. But I think they can run the ball, eat the clock, keep Mahomes in the defense on the side chilling because we do know that Tennessee has some struggles in the secondary due to some injuries and, people not playing up to par. But if they can keep that game tight, if they can run the ball, pound that Kansas City defense, I'm going to pick them to upset this week. I'll probably be wrong, and I'm fine with being wrong. It's not the first or the last time. I'm just saying I think that's what's going to happen.
I
And I'm using
respect
these
it.
Hughes Golders. Let's go, Tennessee. And they're my
respect
second
it.
favorite team for the next 3 years.
Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, I got to go with Kansas City on this one because, like I said, Gene, Andy Reid come off a bye. I mean, you can't go against that record. King Henry is going to be the best chance that they have if they can control the clock, like Cool said. But I just think Mahomes and that offense will feast on Tennessee secondary. So give me Kansas City pretty easily.
And the last game on the docket, because the Phillies started right now, first pitch has happened. Cool, lead us off. Ravens at Saints.
Ravens. Lamar Jackson is going to go out there and snap Ravens.
Yeah.
Kyle?
Once again, I don't see how the Saints win this game. Their only chance would be Lamar all of a sudden getting careless with the football. Other than that, I got nothing for you. So I'm going to Ravens as well.
Bro, the Ravens are hurt, man. No Bateman. He's out for the year. No J.K. Dobbins. It's on IR. I still think Lamar finds a way to get a win because I don't think the Saints are that good. But, man, the Ravens are hurt. And there's something about the Saints on Monday Night Football. Ever since the Katrina game, yo, say what you want. Ever since the Katrina game, yo, my man Jeremy's killing it. Ever since the Katrina game, though, they've played well on Monday Night Football. Remember the game that Drew Brees broke the record? Monday Night Football. They're just a good team on Monday night at home. With that being said, I think Lamar is a prime-time player. Give me Ravens 21, Saints 20.
35-21 for me. Ravens.
27-17 Ravens.
Well, fellas, we're going to wrap up. I know Cool's got a show to get on. Appreciate you, Cool. Join us. Hey, man, tell everybody where they can find you because we all love listening to you.
So on Tuesday nights, I do NFL Matchup Madness. That's on playcallersportstalk.com /live. On Wednesday nights, I do the Eagles Elite Show. Now that we've got tags, I make it easy for everybody. YouTube.com /@Eagles Elite Podcast. We there. We doing it Friday nights, playcallersportstalk.com. Again, back on Play Caller Sports Talk Live. That's at 7 p.m. Forgot to get a time. It's my bad. You can't check me out if you don't know what time I'm going to be there. On Tuesdays, it's at 9 p.m. On Wednesdays, it's at 8:30 p.m. Those are all Eastern times. And then Saturday night, NFC Beast. That's also on my Eagles Elite page. That's at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As Gene said earlier, I have a pleasure to be a part of the Sports Empire Network. So excited about that. Also, you can catch me after this with Key and Coach Dante doing play-by-play of the Philadelphia Eagles game. Let's go, Fly Eagles Fly. And I finally got my voice back from the game. Thank you, Herbal T. You are my best friend. I love it.
Well, have fun tonight. Kyle, tell them where they can find you, brother.
Well, Tuesday nights, 7 o'clock, Big Three podcast with Jordan and Dylan. Uh, Thursday
I
nights,
like
of
it.
course, here with Gene, pregame pigskin. I mean, yeah, that's about it on the Sports Empire Network right now. But I will say, Dante with his live play-by-play and stuff has been just great to watch. So I might have to get into some play-by-play myself. But other than that, that's it right now.
I'm cheesing, bro. I love the team that we're putting together on the Empire, man. You look at this
Yeah,
angles, different people. You got the Keys, you got Dante, Coach Dante, Cool, Kyle. Man, I love the team that we're putting together. Kneecapping, biting with smoking Jeremy B. Uh,
Love it.
yo, I love that man. That man's I appreciate you, Jeremy. I really do.
yeah.
We're going to check me out on Wire to Wire Wednesday nights, Pregaming Pigskin Thursday nights, and fantasy football madness is going to start soon next Sunday.
Let's go.
I'm starting a third show, but I want to give you your start 'em, your sit 'em each week. And now that we have full access to the restream, we really learned it. Me and Control put a lot of time into that. But yo, Philly's on. Appreciate y'all. Thank you for tuning in. Pre-gaming pigskin. My man Cool. My man Kyle. I'm the NFL genius. I holla. Take care, y'all.
All right. See you guys.